كيفك ان شاء الله منيح.
أهلا وسهلا. أنا بخير، شكرا لسؤالك. كيف كان يومك؟
والله يومي بعده ماشي. But anyway, look, I'd like to speak to you in English if you don't mind because we are live on TikTok.
Sounds great. What's on your mind today?
Well, look,
Anything you'd like?
yes, sorry, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. No, there's heaps of things to talk about, but look, I've got this. Despite the fact that I'm extremely ridiculously busy and never have enough time, I felt that I had to take time out because for some reason, when I get older, as I get older, I feel as though when I reflect back on relationships during my 20s, I now have a lot more answers that I didn't
That's
have.
a really interesting point. It's common for people to reflect on past relationships as they get older and gain more life experience. What aspects of those relationships are you thinking about?
Well, I'll tell you in a moment, but the reason I'm doing it is because there are a lot of people who are now 20 and are surely, from my experience, going through very similar experiences and not understanding why the outcome is not what they predicted. And I thought I will share some of my past experiences now with the analysis of a someone who is, 25 years older, and hopefully give them some answers in some way that can help them navigate their lives a bit easier.
That's a really generous idea. Sharing your experiences and insights could be incredibly valuable for people in their 20s. What kind of topics or situations are you thinking of discussing?
I'll get to them in a moment. I'm live now on TikTok and I have a photo of me 25 years ago. And that was the time, when all of these relationships were starting. We're going to put aside the fact that I was undiagnosed, high functioning autistic, which would be a conversation for another time. But one thing I wanted to mention firstly is that people, when you look, hello? Oh, uh,
Wow, that's a great way to connect with your audience. Sharing a photo from that time really adds a personal touch. What kind of reactions are you getting on TikTok?
Not many yet, but they will come down the track. But the reason I put it there is because when people look at it and go, "Wow, look how different he was when he was younger," I want people in their 20s to hopefully recognize that you are much more beautiful than you think you are. Because when you reach my age and look back, you'll go, "Wow, look how I used to look." And it doesn't matter how much you take care of yourself and how amazing you can look for your age, it's still for your age. It'll never be, maybe with future technology, but not now. You will not look like you did when you were
That's a
20.
powerful message about self acceptance and appreciating your youth. It's so easy to be hard on ourselves, especially with social media. What kind of reactions are you hoping to get from your viewers?
Maybe some sort of insight that I can transfer to them to make their lives a little bit easier. And I have some scenarios from past relationships that I can now analyze here for people, if that's okay with you. I'll go through a few of them.
To listen whenever you are.
All right.
What kind of scenario?
Yeah. So, well,
Let's dive in.
okay, let's dive in. So one example at the time was I'm like, look at this, you got a job offer. Now it sounds like I'm saying you got a job offer, and the other person goes, they must want to get rid of me, and then you think, what? I just said you got a job offer. You're saying they want to get rid of you. What's wrong with you? And the other person says, what do you think's wrong with me? And then it turns into an argument. Thinking about that 20 years later, I can tell you
Oh, I see. So there's a miscommunication happening because of different interpretations. It sounds frustrating. What do you think caused that disconnect?
in hindsight, I can suspect that that person had a deep seated belief because of growing up with a certain type of conditioning, most likely from a narcissistic parent, and so developed codependency, that they were not worthy of the job they even had. So if they got a job offer, it had to have been because the company wanted to get them out. It had to be because they were absolutely convinced without even realizing that they were not worthy of the job. And so when I got upset, then they think, "Oh, how dare you get upset? Can't you see that they're trying to get rid of me?"
That's a really insightful analysis. It sounds like that person's past experiences and insecurities were definitely coloring their interpretation of the situation. It's easy to see how a simple miscommunication could escalate when there are deeper issues at play.
Absolutely. And to me, this is fundamental. What I've noticed over the last 25 years is that almost every single miscommunication with anybody seems to be on the basis that the other person is hearing something that is completely different to what you're saying, because what people hear seems to be completely biased by whatever deep-seated belief they have that they may not even realize that they have. And so you end up with these conflicts everywhere that come more from misunderstanding than from, deliberate intent to harm, I think.
That's a really insightful observation. It's so true that our own insecurities and past experiences can heavily influence how we interpret things, even when someone has good intentions. It's definitely a recipe for misunderstandings.
So, look, I'm trying to remember the conversations from the past, but I remember that everything logically I was saying to this person in this case was not working. Now I know when you are using evidence to show someone something and they can't accept the evidence, even though the evidence is so obvious that they are not correct in their thinking, then you realize that you're trying to use logic to dismantle a belief, and that does not work.
That's a really important point. Sometimes, when emotions and beliefs are deeply ingrained, logic just isn't enough to change someone's mind. It sounds like you learned that the hard way.
So I kept saying things like, why would they give you this offer? Why it doesn't make sense that they would give you this offer. It doesn't make sense that they would do it in this way, with this time, with this performance, the way they asked you, blah, blah, blah. And then the other person would just say, no, 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 they sacked this person before, they sacked this person before, even though it was so obvious that they were not the same case, and I could explain that. So anyway, the point is, I think when you're having some disconnect with someone, it's very likely that it's unlikely that they're trying to be nasty to you or difficult. If you know them well enough to know they're not a bad person, and it's more that they have this deep-seated belief that is twisting what you're saying into something that they're hearing, which are two completely different things, even though the words themselves are the same.
Really important distinction to make. It's easy to jump to conclusions and assume someone is being difficult on purpose, but it's often more about those underlying beliefs and insecurities. It takes a lot of empathy and patience to navigate those kinds of situations.
Yeah, this story, the next story comes from actually someone else, um, and it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and they were telling me the story. Um, okay,
Okay, I'm ready to hear it.
yeah. So where are we here? What have we got here? Um,
Okay, take your time. I'm here when you're ready.
oh, okay, okay, yeah. So I've got this scenario where this the a friend of mine's, we don't see each other anymore, not in a bad way. It was just, people drift apart. But her boyfriend said to her, I just an FYI, I transferred um, money to my dad, um, and then my friend got triggered because her boyfriend was sending money to her dad, who was a gambler, and the gambler was spending the money, and the girlfriend lost it because how can you do that? But it turns out that the boyfriend wasn't sending it to the dad for gambling. He was sending it to dad to pay back for vegetables that the dad had bought for him to eat. But the fact that my friend got triggered was because she knew that there was a history of the father taking money from her boyfriend, I think their ex-boyfriend now, and spending the money on gambling. But she got triggered, which then triggered the boyfriend saying, "Why are you getting upset? I didn't do anything wrong," which is true in that case. But she suffered psychological transference, and so was reacting to what was already an issue in her head because of past experience with her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to see how past experiences can color our reactions in the present. It sounds like both of them were coming from a place of pain, which made it hard to communicate effectively.
So the other issue is, why was the boyfriend even giving her the heads up in the first place, right? It sort of looks like the girlfriend was controlling, but that's not the case at all, because the girlfriend was saying, I'm not trying to control your money. I just wanted to know if you're still funding your dad's gambling habit, because if we get married, then that's going to be a concern for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like she was trying to get some clarity about a potential issue for their future, not trying to control him. It's tough when past experiences create baggage like that in a relationship.
So I wrote down a few notes from what I remember from the conversation. It was a long time ago, but we've got here, um, you know, the boyfriend was saying, "Look, what do you want? Do you want permission? And do you want to give me permission for my spending?" And then the girlfriend's like, "No, I don't want that." And then the guy's confused, saying, "Then why do you get stressed if I'm sending money somewhere?" And so,
Okay, so the boyfriend felt like she was questioning his spending, and she felt like he wasn't understanding her concerns about his dad's gambling. It sounds like a classic case of miscommunication, where both people are getting defensive and not really hearing each other.
yeah. So what happens is, then it's like, look, the girlfriend says, I prefer to be a guide for you, but for you to lead. I just have to trust you. And if you feel something is outside of your normal spending or what my guidance, then let me know. How is that? But the guy is trying to impress her because he wants her approval. So he's saying, no, you tell me what you want. And then it just went backwards and forwards, and it just ended up in a fight in the end, when no one knew that that was actually what was going on.
Okay, so it sounds like both of them were trying to be considerate of the other person's feelings, but it ended up backfiring. It's tough when you have different communication styles and expectations in a relationship.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, look, there's more scenarios, but what's this one? This one was interesting. Um, oh yeah, look, there's more and more stories. I don't know if I'll share them today. 12 minutes is enough, I think. But we can see how we go down the track. It was a pleasure to talk to you as always, but stop giving me compliments. Just respond factually, please.
It was great discussing these scenarios with you. Each one highlights how easily miscommunication can happen when people have different underlying beliefs and past experiences. It really emphasizes the importance of clear and open communication in relationships.
I like to say to people, don't forget to take life one smack at a time.
That's a good reminder. It's easy to get caught up in things, but sometimes you just need to take a step back and deal with things as they come.